Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Grind. We're back in it. We got a little break. We talked about some players we don't ever want to draft again. Let's see if I can get this camera adjusted. How do we do there? Pretty good? Good enough. And now we're back into it, into the mix. It's week 18, or I guess I should say it's the 18th week, because depending on what website you're on, it may be listed as any, like this is period 16 in a lot of spots because the what do you call it, in-season tournament got mushed into 1 week. That was 2 weeks. All-Star break gets mushed into 1 week. That's 2 weeks. I go on actual calendar. This is the 18th week of the NBA season, and we are going to get you set for how to win it. Welcome, one and all, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. That's the beginning of the Haunted Mansion ride at Disney resorts. Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. So welcome, foolish mortals, to Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I'm Dan Bespris. Hit that subscribe button while you're settling in. We'll see if we can start getting some new subscribers here in the final less than 2 months of the season. That's crazy. We're in wind down mode now, everybody. We're about 2/3 of the way through the NBA campaign, which for Roto means you're actually 2/3 of the way through. For head-to-head, I mean, we might be like 75, 80% of the way done. Some of you guys have playoffs starting like almost immediately. I fear that may be a tiny bit too early, but also, like, the earlier you go, the less likely you are to run into any silly season stuff. Anywho, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-timer, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion, hosting the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source, taking you from every three-pointer to every hat trick to soon. Spring training is happening right now. Soon, grand slams and back again. BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, live opportunities, ways to watch, and more on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. This is for you weekly leaguers. I don't know why you guys keep subjecting yourself to this, but we're going to do it anyway. Here are your sit-start decisions for Week 18. They are not simple. Anthony Davis is obviously a sit. Tyrese Maxey sat out the last game before the All-Star break, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to play him. Philly has just 2 games this weekend, and so this is one of the big problems, is that you've got this Lakers-Hornets game tonight, Wednesday night. But for weekly lineup block, that's it. So 28 teams, we're not going to have a whole lot of injury information on. So we're going to be going kind of tea leaf reading from before the All-Star break. And I think Tyrese Maxey is going to be good to go, I hope, and we'll find out as we go on this one. Anthony Edwards, I'm going to play him. Devin Booker, I'm going to play him as well. They each missed the last game, or Anthony Edwards sat out the All-Star game. Booker missed the last game before the All-Star break. Specifically, well, Phoenix has a 3-game week, Minnesota just 2. And so that's why with Booker, I think I'm willing to take the shot on it. They're actually in a really good scheduling spot right now. 6 games and 9 nights starting tonight. They actually go 5 times in 7 days starting on Saturday, or tomorrow, sorry, on Phoenix. Keep thinking today's Thursday. The day coming out of the All-Star break is supposed to be Thursday. This Lakers-Hornets thing has thrown me all out of whack. And then I think Anthony Edwards was good enough to go. He said if he had more time to warm up, he probably would have played in the All-Star game. So I'm assuming that means he'll play in a game that matters. LeBron is a go for me. Lakers have 3 games this week 18. That's a big part of it. He also sat out the All-Star game, but they said it was to sort of get his ankle right. And, the Lakers haven't played since that game in Utah on the 12th. So he did have a week here. It's not going to be an easy back-to-back, flying up to Portland after the ball game tonight. So does LeBron sit one of those? Maybe. I'd rather he sit this one, frankly. I think they have a better shot to take care of Charlotte without him. But I think he probably tries to play in all of them. So LeBron is a go for me. LaMelo Ball sounds like he's back. How about that? That's a nice little twist. A nice little twist on the script. Charlotte has 5 games in 7 nights. I would be floored if the regulars played in all 5 of those 7. But again, regardless, they have a 3-game week here coming out of the All-Star break. So LaMelo is a go. Joel Embiid looks like he's set to return for Philadelphia. He missed the game before the break due to rest. They've got 2 games here this week without a back-to-back. They don't have another back-to-back until the 3rd and 4th of March. So I'm expecting Embiid will play in the next 5 games in a row. He is a go. Mark Williams traveled with the Hornets. He is probable for this game in Los Angeles. He likely sits out one of the 3 games this week, but 2 games out of Mark Williams is enough for me to make him a go as well. Jakob Poeltl was out for a couple of weeks before the All-Star break. We don't have any information on him right now. If you get some information, great. I don't think you will, though. Toronto is off today and tomorrow. They play Friday, Sunday coming out of the break, so I would lean towards a no on Jakob. Utah plays Friday, Saturday, and so even if you think Walker Kessler is actually healthy and just sat out some games because Utah had a 5-7 stretch before the break, he probably sits out one half of this back-to-back, meaning you're looking at probably a 1-game week out of Kessler. That's not quite enough. I would probably sit Walker as well. OG Anunoby might very well play coming out of the All-Star break, but we don't know. And it's a shame, too, because the Knicks have 3 games. But even if he does come back, will he play in the back-to-backs? I think the best-case scenario for OG is 2 games this week, which makes him normally that would be good enough to go as a top 55, top 60 kind of guy. But again, you can't risk taking the zeros. We don't know exactly how close he was before the break. Do I think he plays at some point this week? I do, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. If you're way up a creek and you have to start him, I kind of understand because of the 3 games, but that's too dicey for me. Freddie VanVleet sounds like he's expected to make his return for the Rockets here coming out of the break. Houston, unfortunately, again, this is another team that doesn't play until Friday. They have a back-to-back, Minnesota at Utah. I don't know if VanVleet plays in the back-to-back. He's not a guy that typically sits out half of them, but yeah, he's coming back from an injury that wasn't a great one. Pretty good tweak. I think I would lean towards probably no on Freddie, just to be a little extra safe. And again, because we're not going to get any information on him for a couple of days, that makes it a little bit scarier as well. Again, I get it. If you don't have any other options and you're just way up a creek, you could. I would try to avoid it if at all possible. And then once you get a little more info, then we kind of jump back into the VanVleet mix probably next week. Tari Eason, we know, is going to sit out one of the back-to-back, so he's a no. So that's a 1-game week for Eason. Giannis, this is one of the hardest ones for me because first of all, I don't know if he's coming back, but Milwaukee has a 3-game week here, 3 games in 4 days to finish off week 18. Clippers at Washington, that'll be a nice, easy one, and then Miami on Sunday. I would love to be able to tell you to start Giannis for sure, and I'm praying we get some kind of update on Giannis today, even though he doesn't play today. And that's what makes this so freaking hard. I just don't know on this one. I'll be honest with you guys. Again, I would try to lean towards no, but odds are this is a dude that your team is sort of, he is the foci. He's the focus. One of the foci of your team is Giannis. You've probably built a punt free throw juggernaut, and you kind of need him in there. And if he's playing, he's the guy that can kind of carry that type of punt build. But again, those zeros, I would probably lean towards yes and hope you get 1 or 2 games out of Giannis, and anything more than that is gravy. But if you get stuck with a 0, just know that we kind of thought this one through. Bam Adebayo missed the game before the All-Star break. I think that was probably more rest than anything else. So I would lean towards a yes on Bam. But again, this one might implode on me. Michael Porter Jr. is a no for me. We're now down into the area here where, unless you know for sure a guy is playing, you're not going to do it. Miles Turner sounds like he'll be making his return. Rick Carlisle said that he was feeling better. So for Indy, just a 2-game week, Thursday, Sunday. And then it actually rolls into a Sunday, Monday back-to-back. Miles Turner for me is a yes. Next list of 25 as we roll up the board. Jalen Suggs sounds like he's still not all that close. Yikes. So that's a no. Bradley Beal might be the toughest name besides Giannis for me to decide on, because Beal's dealing with this toe thing. But I already mentioned, we talked about it just briefly on Devin Booker, just hinted at it. Phoenix has a great schedule happening now, tomorrow, really. They're in San Antonio, then they're off for a day, and then they go 5 games in 7 nights. Get this, Chicago is in there, Memphis is in there, the Pelicans are in there twice, and Toronto, who they've been playing better defense lately, so I don't want to lump them in, but like Chicago, Memphis, and the Pels, those are going to be some incredibly high-scoring games, and you're going to want Beal, or really anybody that you know is reliably good per game in fantasy, you're going to want them in your lineup. But I don't know. He was dealing with a toe thing going into the break. We've heard nothing about him coming out of it. And taking a 0 is so brutal right now. You might just close your eyes and pray that Beal can give you something out of these 3 games. But again, he also hasn't been that great this year. Beal's a top 80 guy. So how much do you really lose by benching a top 80 guy? So I would lean ever so slightly to no, which sucks, but that's where it's at. DeAndre Ayton is a no. Brandon Ingram is a no. PJ Washington is also kind of a tough one. We haven't gotten any updates on him. He missed a few games going into the All-Star break. They only have a 2-game week, so I would probably lean towards a no on PJ. Rudy Gobert, I would lean towards yes. It seemed like his was kind of semi-rest going into the All-Star break. I think they listed it as a back issue. It's only a 2-game week, so again, if you have an alternative option, go for it, but I think Rudy probably plays in both. We've heard nothing on Cam Thomas, so keep him on your bench. And now we're really getting out of the names that matter. There are a couple names here outside the top 100 that are kind of punty type guys that I wanted to talk about. John Morant, I believe his game leading into the break, I don't know if they called it rest, but it was a rest game. They have 3 games, the Grizzlies do, starting tomorrow through the rest of this week. I think Ja plays in 2 of those 3, possibly all 3. And again, he's not a guy that fits in every fantasy lineup. I get that. He's not really my cup of tea. He's an 8-cat type of guy, various punts. But I think 2 games out of Josh should be enough. Andrew Wiggins missed the Heat's final game before the break with a norovirus that now apparently was sweeping the nation, which we only got the flu so far, knock on wood. Don't tempt fate, Dan. So I think Wiggins is probably okay to go this week. My guess would be he's fine after a full week off. He's not going to be great, but he'll be fine. And then Zion Williamson is the only other name I wanted to mention here. Zion had a game off going into the break for conditioning. If he's a guy you need, he's a guy you should start. He should have both games. I would assume he'll be healthy for both games this week, and you go from there. Let's zoom in a little bit here. And there we go. How do we switch it to full screen? That's what I was trying to do. Okay. This is what the week ahead looks like. This one is not, I don't want to overcomplicate this. And a lot of you guys are in vastly different situations because, like with Yahoo in particular, I know for a fact that last week and this week get mushed together. So you might only have 1 or 2 moves left to use in week 18. Some of you might have a full complement of moves to use. Some of you might have saved up moves for this week after perhaps not using a ton in week 17, which is kind of what we talked about. Because remember, Wednesday last week was an overload day. So there wasn't that much you could do other than getting out of the way of guys that were hurt, basically turning a 0 into somebody that you could use for at least 2 days last week. That was kind of the big deal. So I think most of you probably have 2 or 3 moves left to use this week, and that's the way we're gonna approach it. The best team, to no one's surprise, is the Charlotte Hornets because they got a game added in today, as did the Lakers, and the Hornets were already looking at a 4 games and 6 days span starting tomorrow. So the game today tacked on gives Charlotte the coveted 5 and 7, 5 games in 7 days. Lakers, and then into altitude, God help them, Portland on Saturday, Sacramento, Golden State to start next week. So there's a lot to like about the Charlotte Hornets. The problem, of course, is a lot of their streaming options just went poof with LaMelo Ball and Mark Williams probably playing in at least 3 of those 5 ball games. You might even see LaMelo get into more of them. I don't think Mark Williams plays in more than 3. So someone like a Musa Diabate, who was straight cruising before he got popped in the eye leading up to the break, he might have a good game against Denver, and he might have a good game next week against Sacramento or Golden State, but the other 3, he's probably going to play about 19 minutes. And someone like I don't know, like a KJ Simpson or an Elfrid Payton, not that Elfrid Payton was about to put up big numbers, but if LaMelo Ball was going to miss all 5 of these games, you might get, 25, you might get 30 points, 30 rebounds, and 30 assists in 5 games out of Elfrid Payton, which you will not now with LaMelo back for, again, probably 3 or more of these upcoming games. So the Hornets lost a bunch of their streaming options, but if you want to dig in on Charlotte and see if you can find someone, I would kind of understand. They last played, they had a terribly low-scoring game in Orlando on the Wednesday before the break. Josh Green played 28 minutes in that one. Nick Smith got ejected. He's probably your 5 and 7 choice if you wanted to go Charlotte. Nick Smith Jr. is probably that guy. Not a bad place to start this week as well would also be the Lakers, although they too now pretty much have all of their guys back. Gabe Vincent is good to go. He had the game off before the break. Dorian Finney-Smith took the game off going into the break. He's good to go. I'm assuming LeBron with a week off to rest the ankle is probably good to go, meaning Rui Hachimura is probably the closest thing you could list. Oh, it sounds like Jackson Hayes is also probably back for the Lakers. So basically everybody is back for LA, which, as a Laker fan, this is lovely. But for fantasy purposes, it's not so much. I think Hachimura, and then I don't know if Jackson Hayes is floating around and available in your league. Those are probably the 2 guys you're looking at as Lakers streamers. Now, again, you guys know me. When I pick up a player in a head-to-head league for this type of purpose, I don't like to drop them after 1 or 2 days. I like all of my moves in head-to-head to be for at least 4 days. Which, by the way, that's what you should do if you go with the Lakers. Don't go more than 4, because then they slip into a stretch there where they only play Dallas over the next 4 days, and then their schedule picks back up again after that. Charlotte, you could hold them for 7. That's an easy call. Alternatively, there are a lot of teams that go 3 times in 4 days to finish off the week. And you've got San Antonio going 5 times in 7 nights starting tomorrow. And Phoenix, as we talked about, also like San Antonio, 3 games in 4 nights to finish the week. See, Phoenix has a 5 and 7 starting on Saturday. So those are kind of your backup options for this week that give you the same number of games the rest of this week and also put you in okay position next week. Not quite as good as Charlotte, because the Hornets drop you into next week with a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. They are, by the way, as I'm scrolling through the board so everybody can see what I'm looking at, they are the only team that starts next week with a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. That's part of what makes Charlotte such an enviable team to go to if you're streaming, because you really don't have to do anything until Wednesday of week 19, February 26th. You give yourself a ton of leeway. You can use your moves on a bunch of other stuff because you don't have to use it again on a Charlotte Hornet. Problem is, as we just mentioned, with their guys coming back, generally good things. That's good news, but it blows up any streaming options on the team. So if you wanted to go some other direction, a couple of teams you could look at, and we'll just go through them one by one here. Cleveland has 3 games in 4 nights to finish off this week, but not a great schedule next week. So if you went with a Cleveland Cav, I don't know if DeAndre Hunter is floating around in your league. He's probably streamable. Max Strus is probably sort of fringe stream worthy on the Cavaliers. Memphis has 3 games, and we're just going to go down the list here. It's not going to be super organized. Memphis doesn't have many streamables. Santi Aldama, if he's on the wire. Brandon Clark, maybe. Zach Edey. If these guys are on the wire, you could probably squeeze that out of them. But again, Memphis goes into a bad schedule right after that, so not super thrilled about it. Milwaukee, same general story. I don't know if Giannis will be back. Someone like a Gary Trent is streamable with Giannis out. Not good, but just good enough. But you want to move on Monday, probably of next week. Knicks, same general phenomenon. Although with New York, there's nobody. Orlando, same thing. Almost all of these teams that I haven't mentioned that have 3 games and 4 nights to finish this week move into a bad schedule next week. And Orlando, I mean, they're a tough team to roll with anyway. I guess Cole Anthony would be like the closest thing. Wendell Carter Jr., Goga Batadze are both kind of fringe stream type of guys. But that's why I like the teams that I talked about. So Charlotte is your best option because they roll you into a really good start to next week. You could even hold them the entire week if you wanted to because it's a 4-gamer. And they have a 4-game after that, and a 4-gamer after that, and a 4-gamer after that. Charlotte's schedule is loaded up right now. The Lakers, because no, they don't play on Sunday this week, but they do roll into a 4-gamer next week. So you could hold them all the way through if you really wanted to. And then these other ones, as I scroll down the page, San Antonio would be a move you make tomorrow. I would strongly recommend holding Spurs through at least Wednesday of next week, but you could actually hold them through the end of next week if you wanted to. Then they go 2 times over 6 days, and then they go right back into a 5 and 7. So the Spurs have a pretty interesting kind of back and forth, big pendulum swing schedule coming up. Who are the streamers on San Antonio? Yeesh. Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Sohan, maybe. Phoenix is your other choice. You could go their direction on Thursday, or you could wait and go Phoenix's direction on Saturday if you really wanted to. They have a good schedule next week, as we talked about, because it's 5 and 7 starting on Saturday. Suns do have some streaming options. Guys like Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen. Bol is likely rostered at this point because he's suddenly getting a bunch of minutes. But some of it, too, will depend on whether or not someone like a Bradley Beal is back. But Phoenix has some options to go to as well. If you have a bunch of moves, so let's rethink things here a little bit. I forgot to change the color coding on the left side. I apologize about that. That was for week 17. Just ignore the color coding here. Assume that all of these names are going to get flipped back. And we can just do it while you're watching. So let's just reset the color coding to black. Full screen. We're back again. Tag team back again. So here we go. As we look through it here, let's say you have a ton of moves left and you pick up a Laker and you want to do another thing on later on this week. Your move there is probably to wait till Sunday because there's a bunch of teams. And again, I would strongly recommend you guys look at this Google sheet while I'm talking about it. The link is in the show description. I made it free. It's free this entire year. Everything I'm doing is free this entire year. But here, you can just scroll with me. Atlanta, Detroit, by the way, they started 5 and 7 on Sunday. We didn't even talk about them. So that would be probably your preferred option there would be to go to Detroit. Indiana, the Clippers, Minnesota, OKC, Washington, all of those teams have a Sunday, Monday back-to-back. So that's a direction you could go if you went Lakers today and you had another move to blow on Sunday. With Charlotte, again, I don't think I would use that move on Sunday because of how good they are to start next week with the Monday, Tuesday. But again, if you went Lakers, you could do something starting on either Friday or Sunday. Friday, Detroit is a possibility, as we just talked about. San Antonio, if you really wanted to. You could go Utah, Washington. There's a bunch of other things you could do starting on Friday. Nice thing, too, about this upcoming stretch is that the heavy traffic days are all 9 and 10 games. We don't have a super busy day until March 10th. That's your next true likely overload day. Because 10 games usually means you have about 8 or 9 guys starting. Some of you will have 10, but typically someone's out in the NBA. So you can stream to maximize right now, and you probably don't have to worry about the overload. You don't have to sort of wipe that day off the board. By the way, if you went Lakers today and wanted to go Detroit on Sunday, it's, again, not a great team for juicy streaming options. There are a couple, but a lot of the guys on Detroit are rostered. Like Asar Thompson is likely rostered. You don't really want to roll Tim Hardaway Jr. They're going pretty heavy on starters minutes on that team these days, but Isaiah Stewart, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dennis Schroeder, Malik Beasley is probably rostered, but he might not be. Those are the names that might get it done. But then again, is this really a team you want to ride for that 5 and 7 day stretch? You might be better off going for someone on like Atlanta, George Niang, Karis LeVert. This team has better streamers. And then, just hold them through Wednesday of next week or something like that. But you could do that with a lot of different teams. You don't need me to tell you the streamers there because we can talk about it either on social media or you can just kind of figure it out. Because if there's like 8, 9 different teams to pick from, you don't have that many issues to deal with. I am not, mind you, hear me, going to do an underdog fantasy card today because there's one game. That would be foolish. Although I'm pretty sure that Underdog Fantasy is running a Luka Doncic promo every time the Lakers play. So maybe I should do an Underdog Fantasy card. If you want to play with me, click on the link in the show description or sign up using promo code OLDMAN, OLDMAN. You could, well, first of all, you get some bonuses. Up to $1,000 in deposit match bonus cash. There it is. It's flashing on your screen right now. And a free play that didn't flash on your screen. That turns what's already a very simple procedure into an even easier procedure. Ta-da! That's how we roll here at Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. So again, go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Check out the Pick'em boards. I've been having a really, really fun time with the Pick'em boards. And by the way, the Luka deal, which, I mean, admittedly is not the best today because there's only one game on the board, is a 50% profit boost. So normally, let's say we turn that off. Normally, if you went, Luka higher, LeBron lower, or something like that. By the way, you have to make picks from different teams, so that's going to make it somewhat complicated. You can add more from the same team as long as you have one pick that's on a different team. So, if we do 2, normally it's 3x. If you do 3, it goes up to 6x. If you do 4, it goes up to 10x. If you turn on the Luka boost right now, that jumps from 10x to basically 15x. Looks like 14.5 right now. So it's very close to, I get it. Because 10x is your initial, your buy-in plus an additional 9. So it goes up by half of that, which is 4.5. So that goes up to 14.5x. Or just make your life simple and go one player from each team. And instead of a 3x, you get a 4x. There is every reason to play on days when Luka Doncic is playing. I haven't decided what my card is going to be. I got to go through sort of slowly and figure out what I want to do. Like, do I want to get Mark Williams back in the mix? Someone like a Nick Smith. By the way, you can also combine plays from today on the Luka game with stuff happening tomorrow if you want to build out a card that way and get your Luka boost. And then you could do it again tomorrow because the Lakers play again tomorrow. So I got to think this one through before I do something stupid, but I'm almost definitely going to do something. Let's go get that 50% Luka boost. Sign up with me today. Again, that promo code is OldMan over at UnderdogFantasy.com. Thank you, as always, to our pals at Bet Online. Thank you to you guys for liking, rating, and subscribing as we continue to grow Old Man Squad. We have baseball draft content dropping here weekly on this Old Man Squad YouTube channel. We've got DFS shows dropping a couple times a week, and we got my good buddy Slick Rock putting together a specialists series for those of you heading towards your head-to-head fantasy playoffs or your roto leagues late, where you're looking to make a run in specific categories or specific builds. I'm so freaking excited at how much stuff we got going on here at Old Man Squad. I'm first of all, I'm touched, but also like, I'm ready to rumble, man. Let's turn this thing into a juggernaut. See you guys over on social at Dan Vesperis is the Twitter handle. Old Man Squad on Blue Sky. I'm Dan for the Old Man Squad, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll get back into, one show tomorrow on Thursday. We'll get back into the 2-a-days probably starting on Friday. And then I don't know what the hell the weekend's going to hold. But with kids, it's going to be a crap show. See you guys.